Hello everyone, let's learn the management of vesicular mole. Before going ahead with the planning of any treatment for vesicular mole, pre-treatment clinical workup in all cases is very important. It is in the form of general examination, pelvic examination and pelvic sonography. Of course, it should be supplemented by serum HCG levels. These things should be documented prior to the treatment. So on general examination, look for anemia, treat the anemia with prompt blood transfusion. Correction of blood pressure, congestive cardiac failure treatment, identify features of thyrotoxicosis and do the treatment if it is there. Look for hepatosplenomegaly. Pelvic examination is important to document the exact size of the uterus and the size of the luteal cyst if they are there. Should be confirmed by sonography. Sonography also helps to rule out the partial mole and to rule out the other differential diagnoses like fibroid uterus with pregnancy and dermoid with pregnancy. Baseline serum HCG levels are very important for the subsequent follow-up in all cases. This is the list of pre-treatment investigations. It is in the form of complete blood count, hemoglobin percentage and blood group because she needs at least 2 units of blood transfusion during the procedure of evacuation. Serological test for HIV and hepatitis B, kidney function test and liver function tests. Along with that, coagulation profile and thyroid profile are important. Pre-treatment imaging is always helpful and X-ray chest is done in all cases of vesicular mole to rule out the secondaries in the lungs because it is the commonest site. In high risk cases or symptomatic cases of metastasis, contrast CT scan is done. For the diagnosis of occult metastasis in the lungs, brain, liver, MRI is helpful. This is how imaging techniques help for the documenting the extent of the disease. Now, next we plan for the specific treatment of vesicular mole. If the patient has got partial mole, the treatment is MTP and follow-up for 1 year. In the first trimester, however, simple evacuation can be done. Suction evacuation cannot be done because the fetus is there inside, cannot be aspirated through the cannula. In second trimester, it is always MTP with prostaglandins or use of oxytocin. There is one more method of MTP that is known as hysterotomy with sterilization. This is not practiced in cases of partial mole because there is danger of embolization, there is danger of excess of hemorrhage and there is risk of post-molar GTN also. Hence remember, avoid hysterotomy sterilization. Hysterotomy means we cut open the uterus, remove the product, stitch back the uterus. Along with that, tubectomy is done bilateral. Why? Because there is risk of rupture of uterus with the next pregnancy. But this method is not done in cases of partial mole. What is the treatment of complete mole then? Assessment of the risk, whether she is low risk or high risk first. If she is a low risk patient, suction evacuation with histology sample is obtained and sent for confirmation of diagnosis. High risk cases less than 40 years. Suction evacuation with chemotherapy is advocated, single drug regime is advocated till HCG becomes negative. This single drug chemotherapy reduces the chances of choriocarcinoma from 50% to 15% in high risk patients. When the patient is above 40 years, she is a high risk patient and when childbearing is over, you go ahead with the hysterectomy. It reduces the chances of post-molar GTN or invasive mole to 4%. Usually the risk is 15%. It reduces to 4%. And one more advantage of this hysterectomy is it provides a method of permanent contraception. However, for low risk cases of vesicular mole, there is no role of prophylactic hysterectomy. Cannot do. Though the prevalence of this invasive mole reduces, should not be done because these trophoblastic tumors, vesicular mole, it responds well to the chemotherapy. What are the indications for hysterectomy in GTA? One we have discussed is above 40 years with vesicular mole. They are all high risk patients. But there are cases of vesicular mole with associated complications, like there is too much of bleeding during evacuation. The patient may collapse during the evacuation, suction evacuation, because of hemorrhage. Already the patient has got a lot of infection, so it is a sepsis. And when I have perforated the uterus during suction evacuation, in these cases, hysterectomy is the choice of treatment. There is one more patient on follow-up. If the HCG levels are persistent 6 to 8 weeks, then go ahead with the hysterectomy. They are the high risk cases. There hysterectomy is the choice of treatment. Few more indications for hysterectomy are placental site trophoblastic tumor, where this tumor they don't respond to the chemotherapy. Epithelioid trophoblastic tumor. These two tumors are different entity, and management is hysterectomy. Specific treatment of the vesicular mole, complete mole, is suction evacuation. In these cases, as usual, it is a minor operative procedure, but it is associated with a risk. Patient should be nil by mouth, should be prepared for anesthesia, written consent should be obtained. It should be a high risk consent, because there is risk of perforation of uterus and intraoperative hemorrhage during surgery, during evacuation. Hence, she may need emergency hysterectomy also. Counseling for hysterectomy should also be done prior. Arrange 2 units of cross-matching sample blood for correction of anemia. There is risk of sudden intraoperative collapse due to hemorrhage, and infusion of crystalloids should be less. The operation theatre should be well equipped. What are the precautions taken during evacuation? The surgeon should be skilled surgeon, as there is risk of perforation of uterus during evacuation. And the procedure should also be fast to minimize the blood loss. Why there is risk of perforation? Because uterus is overstretched because of growing viscera. That is one reason. Second reason is possibility of invasive mole may be there, may be coexistent. Hence, risk of perforation is more. Hence, a skilled person, experienced person should go ahead with the suction evacuation. The procedure should be fast also. Hence, suction evacuation is preferred over the simple evacuation. In simple evacuation, we use ovum forceps like this to take out the products. In suction evacuation, we use the suction cannula. This cannula is a plastic cannula. Suction cannula is used. It is connected to the suction machine, and the vesicles are aspirated. Aseptic precautions are observed during the procedure. IV drip for 10 to 20 units of pitocin should be started during and 1 hour prior to the surgery. The flexible, transparent number 8 or 10 size of cannula is used. Should be big size cannula so that it doesn't go through and through in the uterine wall. The cannula is flexible also, like this. So it bends, and the hole is big so that the vesicles can be aspirated from this. There is a risk of sudden hypotension during evacuation due to massive embolization during the suction evacuation. Hence, the procedure should be done in a well-equipped operation theatre. The exact method of suction evacuation, let us discuss. The procedure should be done under ultrasonographic guidance. Abdominal sonography probe should be kept during the procedure. The gradual dilatation of the cervix is done with a Hagar dilator, and different sizes of the Hagar dilators are available like this. So serial number of Hagar dilators are used in serial order. So gradual and slow dilatation of cervix is assured. Even use of laminaria tent or isabgol beads can be practiced for the ripening of the cervix or dilatation of the cervix 2 or 3 to 4 hours prior to the procedure. After the dilatation is achieved, the cannula is introduced just beyond the internal os here, so that the products can be aspirated from the uterine cavity. Rotatory movements of the cannula are encouraged this way. The suction cannula should be rotated in the uterine cavity so that the vesicles are aspirated all around. The suction pressure should be at least of 150 or 200 millimeters of mercury. After the evacuation is complete with the cannula, when no more products come out through the cannula, a gritty feeling is obtained, the uterus starts contracting. In these cases, digital exploration of the uterine cavity is done. Should be followed by gentle curettage of the uterine cavity. So this is the blunt and sharp curette. One end is blunt end, the other end is sharp end. So the blunt end is used for the curettage. Curettage should be done with the use of intramuscular methadone 0.6 milligram, so that the uterus contracts and there is no risk of perforation with the curette. So this is the blunt and sharp curette which is used for the curettage of the uterine cavity and to get the sample for histopathology. Use of prostaglandins for induction of abortion doubles the risk of trophoblastic embolization, hence it is avoided. It is not practiced. However, prophylactic 10 to 20 units, as I told you, of oxytocin can be given in the ringer lactate. Thus, there is less chance of perforation of uterus. There is role of injectable antibiotics in all these cases. Of course, it is very important. And post-operative period, patient should get oral antibiotics. Anti-D prophylaxis is not required for complete mole, as fetal blood circulation is not established. However, in some books they are given anti-D serum of 100 microgram intramuscular may be used. Why? Because when we are doing the curettage, that time there are chances of embolization of the villi. Anti-D prophylaxis is required in partial mole, all cases of partial mole. Single drug therapy is given for all high-risk cases of vesicular mole. That's why prior to the evacuation, assess the risk, whether we are dealing with a high-risk case or low-risk case. Pre-operative or intra-op and post-operative period chemotherapy must be given in these cases. With the use of these chemotherapeutic drugs, it reduces the chances of trophoblastic embolization. So the first drug is actinomycin D. It is given IV 12 microgram per kg per day. It is started 3 days prior to the evacuation and continued 2 days after the evacuation. This is one drug of choice. The other alternative is methotrexate. It can be used in the tablet form prior to the surgery, 3 days prior to the surgery. The dose is 15 milligram oral per day. During evacuation process, that day the patient should receive injection methotrexate 50 milligram IV in the drip at least 3 to 4 hours, followed by injectable methotrexate 0.5 milligram per kg per body weight per day, IV or intramuscular, for 5 days continuously. Okay, repeat the dose. Here dose is half. Repeat 2 or 3 courses after 2 weeks till HCG is negative. This is one protocol. The other protocol can be for methotrexate can be injection methotrexate 1 milligram per kg body weight, IV or IM, alternate day 5 days. In between folinic acid 0.1 milligram. This is 1 milligram and this one is folinic acid is 0.1 milligram per day, alternate day 5 days. Such 3 cycles with window of 1 week is given. Or we have discussed about the actinomycin D. The dose of methotrexate is 1 milligram per kg. Folinic acid dose is 0.1 milligram per kg and actinomycin dose is 11 microgram. It is microgram per kg. All drugs are given for 5 days. Methotrexate is given alternate days. In this protocol. Why prophylactic chemotherapy is required? Because it reduces the risk of malignancy. That is one thing. Other indications for prophylactic chemotherapy can be vesicular mole cases where follow-up is not visible, whether she is low risk or high risk, but patient is not willing for follow-up. She cannot come for follow-up to identify malignancy development. These cases, it is better to give them prophylactic chemotherapy. Of course, we have discussed all high-risk cases of molar pregnancy should receive. But high-risk cases along with hysterectomy should also receive chemotherapy. Remember, low-risk vesicular mole prophylactic chemotherapy is not advocated. Monitoring of the patient during chemotherapy is by complete blood count, LFT, KFT. It is done prior to each course. Correct anemia promptly with blood transfusion. Every month, X-ray chest should be taken to identify the lung metastasis. Thank you so much. Next time we'll discuss about the follow-up of vesicular mole.